welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, recruiting in yoga pants. So this week we're going to dig into this idea around exclusivity with a recruiter. So what a concept, huh? So here's the deal. I mean, y'all are grown adults, okay? Do what you want. For me, I'm not signing any kind of an agreement with any kind of agency as a recruiter, or as a candidate, rather. I'm just not. No way. Nope. Don't need my own personal Jerry Maguire because I know that is not how it works. Okay? Recruiters are paid by the organization to bring people to their company. That may be you, maybe somebody else. But the person who writes the check gets to make the rules. So no, I will not be engaging exclusively with any recruiter, with some minor exceptions. Let's talk through it. Okay, so scenario one, if I am working with a recruiter at an internal recruiter at a corporation, a company I want to work for, I'm going to funnel all of my communication through that recruiter until I am no longer in consideration for their team. Okay. Now, I may be interested in multiple teams. I may be interested in a variety of roles. That's definitely very common, particularly with large companies. I'm fine with that. As your recruiter, I'm fine with that. I will help make the connections. I will share with my colleagues, I'll make sure that you have access to any roles that you're interested in. That's no problem. But what you don't want to do is start having all of these private conversations with every other recruiter. Because if we're doing our job right, we're all entering notes into the database and going, wait a minute, why does this person have 4 interviews next week? How did that happen? It's rare you would get that far, by the way, because we're on to you. But I digress. So that's the only time, and again, you're not signing an agreement with me. We're not committing to anything in writing. It's a very appropriate and common best practice to just kind of have that single point of contact that helps you navigate potentially multiple roles. And then ultimately, once you're at interview stage and certainly once you're at offer stage, you have a point of contact who is your recruiter who's helping you navigate that, putting your offer together, negotiating, all those things. Okay. So that's really as close to exclusive as you might get on the corporate side or internally. Other than that, we should be sharing, we should be working very nicely with each other. We should be doing the right thing for the company and the candidate first and foremost, regardless of my personal, success or filling a role or whatever. Candidate should come first. So that's the one almost sort of little bit of a caveat there. On the agency side, the only time I would consider this is if I trusted the recruiter and I knew that there was a possibility that this company, their client, maybe had multiple recruiters working on the same thing. It's a little bit of a flag for me, to be honest, because that does tend to be highly transactional, and the benefit of having a recruiter be your advocate and help you navigate that kind of is rendered kind of useless in some of these cases, because a lot of times they're stuck just sending someone through a VMS system or VMS, vendor management system, and you may never talk to a real person, right, as the recruiter. So I would want to understand, okay, do you have direct access to the hiring manager? Do you kind of have that influence and authority? Can you make stuff happen? And do I need to help protect you, the recruiter, from the shady recruiters who are maybe just grabbing my info off the internet and submitting ahead of time? Because companies will look at the timestamp. They'll say, oh, we already got Amy Miller's resume from ABC Corp, sorry about your luck. Whereas Amy Miller has never talked to ABC Corp, and that was a shady submittal. Doesn't matter. My friend recruiter still is going to lose out because they can't prove that they were the procuring cause, aka the recruiter responsible for making me aware of the role, interested in the role, and submitting to the role. So I would consider letting a recruiter kind of take ownership of my candidacy if it is for a specific role at a specific company. That's the only time I think this might maybe be an okay idea. Beyond that, this does not help you, my job search friends. Okay? Hear me out on this. By giving one recruiter exclusive access to you, you're basically saying, I'm not going to pursue opportunities that you're not involved in. Not every company is going to work with that recruiter. That recruiter cannot open every door that you may be trying to get through. This is a bad idea for most job seekers. This is a shady idea from many recruiters. Now, I welcome any recruiter who disagrees with me to go ahead and drop some comments down below. Let's talk about it. Tell me why this serves the job seeker. Because I'm willing to bet that with very few exceptions, probably mostly on the exec side, most of y'all are playing the NPC game. Well, what's the NPC game? I'm glad you asked. Most placeable candidate. One of the most interesting times of my life was as a recruiter for a very well-known firm, and we had a most placeable candidate that every single recruiter, and I'm talking double-digit team here, every single recruiter had pitched that senior Big Four accountant to every company we could find. None of us ever placed her. She was bait. We used her profile as a hook, like, hey, I'm exclusively representing this amazing talent who's blah, 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 blah. And, oh, well, we don't need one of those, but we need one of these. Oh, great. And we get a job order and then we go make a placement, but never with her. Okay? Now, she didn't care. She was really good friends with like our managing director, but it was not like we weren't doing it for her benefit. That's the point I'm trying to make here. This did not help this job seeker / candidate person. This helped the recruiting team. So, exclusive for what? For your benefit or for mine? That's the question I want you to ask yourselves, okay? So, job seekers, do your due diligence, do your research, do your homework, decide, is my career safe with this person? Am I willing to put every single egg in this single basket? If that works for you, I'm not going to tell you not to do it, I guess, because, okay. This Gen X recruiter, I don't have that level of trust with anybody at all, ever. No, we ain't signing shit. So that's just my 2 cents on this. I think as a job seeker, you just need to do your due diligence and understand how recruiting works. That's why I bring you these videos every week, try to demystify this so you know what you're getting into and the questions you can ask. The only other caveat I will leave you with is multiple recruiters at the same agency. This is a bad look. Agencies don't love this. The recruiters don't love this. Again, every agency has those agreements with different companies, right? And so if you're talking to Bill from agency A, but then Sally from agency A also calls you, definitely let them know, like, hey, I've been working with Bill. Are you working on something that Bill isn't working on? Like, do you two talk? Just kind of like with the internal recruiters, right? Like, it's okay to want to be considered for multiple roles that agency may have access to, but you don't need to talk to multiple recruiters at the same firm. They all have the same access, or should, to share and do splits, or, hey, your candidate got a job with my client, let's share the fee. That's how that typically works on the inside. So you don't need to have multiple contacts at a single agency, but you damn sure don't need to limit yourself to one agency under the wrong assumption that they're going to just be your advocate in the entire job market. It just doesn't happen. Any recruiter who tries to convince you otherwise, they often dress themselves up, figuratively speaking, as, these executive, like, big biller, elite recruiters who are better than everyone else. It kind of reminds me when my little guy, who's now 6'5", when he was just a wee little boy, he would dress up in like costumes. You know, he wanted to be a firefighter, he wanted to be a dinosaur, he wanted to be a race car, you know, whatever. So he had a lot of like costumes and stuff. I'm telling y'all, I don't care how many times this child walked around the house swinging his little dinosaur tail, knocking shit over, talking about, "Rawr, I'm a dinosaur." He's not a dinosaur. I don't care what you call yourself. I don't care what you dress up as. It's not realistic, y'all. Okay? So watch out for those kinds of recruiters who maybe stumbled into a little Dunning-Kruger effect here and just, you know, think the world is a little bit smaller than it really is. That's all I'm saying. All right, y'all. I hope that helps. Please choose your partners wisely. There are amazing recruiters out there, both agency and corporate, who care about getting you where you're trying to go. Don't limit yourself unnecessarily. Okay? Let me know down below any thoughts, questions, feedback, and we will see you next week.